On August 4th, 1914, less than a month after the Edwards Orange Hall was opened, Great Britain declared war on Germany. As a British dominion, Canada was automatically drawn into the conflict, and loyal members of the Orange Order were eager to enlist. On August 25th, Grand Master of Canada, Dr. David Daniel Ellis, sent a telegram to King George V, stating, "In part evidence of a united Canada in this crisis of the Empire, I offer your Majesty the respectful homage of 350,000 active and unattached members of the Loyal Orange Association of British America, pledged at all times to defend your Majesty's person, crown, and empire." Representing Loyal Orange Lodge No. 2297 on the front lines were James Christie, Leonard Dormer, and William Ellison. All three would survive the war, but only Christie would return to the Edwards Orange Lodge. In doing so, Christie was bucking an emerging trend in Orange membership. Throughout the 1920s, despite the fact that LOL 2297's roll book counted more than 30 members, nearly two-thirds of those men failed to attend at least half of the regular meetings. 12th of July celebrations remained the social event of the year, and the parties in Switzer's Grove continued to be well stocked with food, drink, and revelry. But the mundane business of monthly lodge proceedings became less of a priority for those members who did not hold a seat in office. Membership and attendance in the Edwards Orange Lodge waned throughout the late 1920s and plummeted in the 1930s. At the same time, however, a second Protestant organization, the Loyal True Blues, began renting the hall. Loyal True Blue Lodge No. 464 soon emerged as the more popular social outlet for those who were seeking companionship and entertainment along with a reinforcement of their faith. A great part of its charm was the fact that it was mixed, offering membership to both men and women. It therefore appealed to a wide cross-section of the community, and in particular to the young people of Edwards. The LTB offered dances, crokinole parties, and even evenings filled with friendly card games. Moreover, the Loyal True Blue was seen as being free from the old-world political ties and associations to which the Orange Lodge still clung. Before long, the sons and daughters of Edward's founding Orangemen were more involved with the Loyal True Blue Lodge than they were with the Orange. LOL 2297's longtime treasurer, Thomas Quinn, had never had any sons. Therefore, he had no lineage to join the Orange. His daughter Cora, however, became a longtime member in the Blue. Deputy Master Jack Mitchell's two children, Verna and Bryson, also joined. So too did Obie Switzer's oldest son, Stuart. In their eyes, the Loyal Orange Lodge had become something of an old boys' club, whereas the Loyal True Blue more accurately reflected the changing social norms. The growing success of the True Blues directly helped the Edwards Orangemen. The Great Depression was at its height, and oftentimes, when the members of LOL 2297 couldn't pay their dues, the members of the Blue not only managed to find the resources to pay theirs, but still paid their rental fee on time. The True Blues kept the hall in good repair, painting the walls, maintaining the roof and windows, and making it seem more of a home away from home than a purely functional gathering place. The remaining Orangemen were largely unaffected by the outbreak of the Second World War. Most of them were simply too old to be called into service. The dwindling number of young men who joined their ranks did so largely from a sense of duty and obligation. Their fathers had been Orangemen, and so too would they be. At least one, however, was made a member by unabashed trickery. Every week, Don Harrison would drive his aging father to the Wednesday night meeting, and then wait out the duration at Tierney's garage. One night, during the 1950s, a couple of the brothers rushed up to him, exclaiming that something terrible had happened and that his father needed him to come as quickly as he could. Don raced into the hall, steeling himself against the worst, only to find his father in perfect health and smiling brightly. Don was told that his dues had already been paid and that he was being initiated into the lodge. For a moment, Don considered turning around and leaving. But then he realized that he was the youngest of John Harrison's sons and that none of his brothers had joined. In him rested all of his father's hopes for a family legacy. And so he joined. Years later, he would laugh about the affair. Keith McCooey was also the son of an Edwards Orangeman, although his father never had to resort to deception in order to secure his membership. Keith joined the lodge in 1957, the same year that Don Harrison's father died. Other sons continued to join, and throughout the 1950s and 60s, the Edwards roll book, while shrinking in size, continued to be dominated by Switzers, Pattersons, and especially Jameses. On any given night in the mid-1950s, the hall of LOL 2297 could contain as many as 5 Jameses: Hubert, John Jr., Stuart, Hugh, and Osgood. The same period also saw the introduction of the Wyman family. Bert Wyman was a member of both the Orange and Blue lodges and was extremely dedicated to both. Being a lodgeman became the central pillar of his identity, something that would come to full fruition 40 years later. Outside the lodge, Edwards continued to change. The railway, once the lifeline of the village, was discontinued in 1957. Yet it was the death of Obie Switzer 5 years later that marked the true turning point for the lodge. The 12th of July parades dwindled in size with each passing year, until finally, the notion of a local parade was done away with entirely. Instead, it was replaced by one held in a central location and attended by members from multiple counties. Despite the obvious attrition, it was not until the 1970s that the Grand Lodge of Canada finally took steps to address the issue. Through a blitz of printed media, they attempted to rebrand the lodge. Love of religious freedom and the upholding of Christian ideals now took second place to accentuating the charitable contributions and philanthropic nature of the organization. Closer to home, Bert Wyman actively encouraged the men around him to join LOL 2297. One of them was Larry Toll. Although Larry joined in 1972, this was not his first exposure to the Orange Lodge. 20 years previously, during the height of the baby boom, the village of Edwards found itself with more children than it had spaces in school. The hall became an impromptu classroom for a period of 2 years, and young Larry was among the students. The rental money was taken by the brothers and enrolled in bonds, the returns from which now saw 2297 through what might arguably be called its leanest years. Meetings in the Edwards Hall ceased to be held monthly. In fact, the ledger for 1978 records only 2 meetings attended by an average of 5 members. On the other hand, it also records a bank balance of nearly $1,200. It might be fair to ask why this low point failed to mark the end of LOL 2297. Why did the remaining members simply not shut the doors or walk away? The answer is tenacity. The men of Osgood Township refused to be swept up by the changing cultural landscape. In an era which included the October Crisis, the rise of Quebec separatism, and the only peacetime invocation of the War Measures Act, they continued to stand for democratic government, the public school system, the supremacy of law, and a united Canada. By the late 1980s, Larry Toll had been joined by 3 other members of the family: Dan, Doug, and Larry Jr. Ideas for revitalization projects, such as teen dances and car rallies, were put forth. The hall received some long overdue renovations with the aid of Oswald McCrosty, longtime Russell District Orangeman and father-in-law of Keith McCooey. In 1989, a recruitment booth was set up at the Metcalfe Fair. New members did indeed join LOL 2297, but they fell into two distinct camps. Some of them came because their own lodges elsewhere had become dormant. The rest were extensions of the same family lines that had gathered in the Edwards Hall for generations. In 1994, a campaign spearheaded by Bert Wyman, that great devotee of both the Orange and the True Blue Lodge, culminated with the dedication of a small park in Edwards. Children now play beneath the shady trees and on the swings put there by men who believed wholeheartedly in working together for family, community, and country.
Sound your drum and flash your sword. Wade into King James's ford. Watch the wind and thrust the Lord, or we'll die for our Isle William. On Boyne's great shore that glorious day, 30,000 that beat their way. For Orange we fight, and for Orange we'll say, we'll die for our Isle William. Sound your drum, flash your sword. Wade into King James's ford. Watch the wind and thrust the Lord, or we'll die for our Isle William. On Boyne's red field in the afternoon, through the smokes undaunting gloom, as horses fell and cannons blew, and blast the way for William. Sound your drum and flash your sword. Wade into King James's ford. Watch the wind and thrust the Lord, or we'll die for our Isle William. On Boyne's red field of bloody gore, James he cried, no more, no more. The time has come to end this war. I can see defeat